Recently, I walked back into the shop in my town, asked for it, and the guy just shook his head. Gone. Same gun, 2 days ago, sitting there like it had all the time in the world. Now it's either sold or priced like I should have made the decision earlier. That one irritated me more than it should have. Not panic, just that quiet, you waited too long feeling. A couple days ago, nobody cared. I didn't think much of it at first. Figured it was just one shop, then it wasn't. Same thing started happening in other places. Same few 9mm pistols coming up, not getting talked about, just gone. Stuff that sat for weeks suddenly wasn't sitting anymore. Guys weren't even thinking twice. No comparing, no, I'll come back, just taking it. That's when it clicked. June's where stuff starts moving. Prices shift, carry changes, and the guns people trust stop sitting in the case. Some of these are obvious. A couple I ignored, and one of these already slipped on me. Early June, Fort Worth, West 7th. I wasn't even shopping. Had my PDP compact in my hand. Just stopped in out of habit. Counter was loud. Guys leaning in, asking about the newest drops. Comparing whatever just came out, like everything older didn't matter anymore. And I was standing there holding mine. Same gun sitting in the case, getting skipped over. One guy looked at it, kept moving. I pointed at it and asked the guy behind the counter, "These even moving?" He smirked. "Not right now. Give it a couple weeks, they come back for it." That line stuck. Standing there, watching everybody pass it, I started wondering if I was wrong about it. Messes with your head a little when nobody else even considers the thing you trust. But it wasn't that. It was timing. Early June, attention shifts, new releases pull eyes away, and the proven stuff just sits long enough to feel safe. That's how these go. Not hype, not noise, just gone when you finally decide. The PDP compact doesn't feel exciting right now. That's the whole problem. I almost said something to one of those guys walking past it, didn't. And I've got a feeling one of them is going to come back asking about it after it's not sitting there anymore. Last week in Dallas, behind the range, a guy I know was switching into summer carry. He kept tugging at his shirt, trying to stay comfortable in the heat. He had already tried going smaller and hated how it felt once he actually shot it. Short grip, snappy, and he kept adjusting his draw because it never felt planted. Then he picked up an X Macro. It wasn't tiny, but it carried clean enough under a light shirt without printing like his old gun. At the range, it gave him enough grip that he stopped fighting the recoil every string. Only thing is, it sits right on that edge. Push it wrong with the wrong holster or thinner shirt, and you'll feel it. Still, it felt like a real pistol instead of something he was just tolerating. I've been hearing it more lately, guys ditching their smaller setups and moving towards something like this once summer starts. Not because they want bigger, but because they're tired of carrying something that feels like a compromise every time they shoot it. If this is where people are landing once they realize how much the small stuff costs them in the heat, the next one on this list is what they go to when even this starts feeling like too much. Yeah, I know it's good. Just feels like a lot right now. I heard that before I even saw the gun. A couple of weeks back, I was off to the side listening to two guys go back and forth. One of them kept saying he wanted something worth the money. The other one kept bringing up the Shadow 2 carry, not hyping it, just bringing it back into the conversation. And every time, it got shut down with that same line. Just feels like a lot. They kept circling it, never landing, like the decision was going to get easier if they talked long enough. It doesn't. I remember thinking, say something, didn't. They walked out with something else. Not bad, just easier to justify in the moment. But I've seen how that ends. Later on, same type of guys start saying, "Man, I should have just gone for it." Not because the other gun failed, because the window where this one made sense passed while they were thinking. That's how this one slips. Shadow 2. Carry feels like too much right now, too heavy, too serious. That hesitation, that's the trap. Mid-June. That's when decisions start drifting. By the end of the month, the clean price, the clean color, or the clean chance usually isn't sitting there waiting for the guy still thinking about it. And what came after that wasn't drifting at all. This was everywhere before. That's what I kept thinking. I went looking for a Gen 3 a couple weeks back. Figured it'd be easy. First shop had one. Wrong setup. Not optic ready. Not the config I wanted. Didn't think much of it. Second shop, same thing. Different version, but still not it. By the third stop, I asked straight up what they had left. Guy checked, paused, then just started listing off random configs that didn't match each other. That's when it clicked. It wasn't gone, just not there the way it used to be. The clean setups, the ones people actually want, weren't sitting anymore. And that threw me off, because tisas isn't the name people rush for. It doesn't have that instant trust like Glock or SIG. Most guys walk past it without thinking twice. That's exactly why this happens. Mid-year hits, people start looking harder at what they're actually getting for the money. And suddenly, the budget gun with real features isn't invisible anymore. Then, it gets picked through. You don't notice it disappearing. You notice your options shrinking. And by the time you decide what you actually want, and that version's not part of the choice anymore. What came after that felt different. Not slower, faster. I was at the range last week when it hit me. Nobody was talking about it anymore. Guy next to me asked about one, got told they only had a couple left. I've carried a Gen 5 for years without ever feeling the need to grab another one. It was always there. The default, the safe choice, the gun you could count on without thinking. Then the talk started shifting. Gen 6 and V-Series models pulling more attention. Cases getting lighter on Gen 5s and certain configurations becoming harder to find without hunting. I started noticing fewer of them on the line too. That's when I realized I had been treating it like it would always stay the easy option. I went to pick up a spare setup a few days later, and they were already low on the configurations I actually run. Not gone yet, but moving faster than I expected while focus moved elsewhere. I stood there knowing I'd been putting this off, telling myself I'd handle it later. Later is running out. This isn't about the Gen 5 suddenly disappearing. It's about the version that spent years being the obvious no-brainer choice, slowly losing that position. Once the default status slips, you don't just lose convenience, you lose the easy access to the one gun most people already trust. You either pay more later, settle for something you don't actually want, or end up chasing it after the window is already closed. I almost waited again. I didn't. Can I see a Glock 19? That's what the guy said. Dealer didn't even turn around for it. He reached down, grabbed a Ruger RXM, and set it on the counter like that was the answer. No pitch, no explanation, just this one. The guy paused for a second, looked at it, looked back at the dealer, didn't ask anything else. All right, that was it. No comparison, no back and forth. He just went with it. I was still processing that when it happened again. Different guy, different question, same move. RXM hits the counter before the sentence even finishes. That's when it stops feeling random, because nobody's explaining it. Nobody's selling it. It's just getting put in people's hands, like the decision's already been made. And late June, that's when this kind of thing speeds up. Dealers don't wait for you to figure it out. They move what's about to move. And yeah, RXM's new. Not fully proven, feels like a push. That's exactly how this starts. You wait for reviews, wait for consensus. Meanwhile, it's already moving under you. And when you finally circle back, price isn't the same. Options aren't the same. You don't get a clean shot at it again. You don't get asked twice on this one. And the last one, that's the one people feel the most after they miss it. Late June is when people realize they picked wrong. Not at the counter, not watching reviews, out there actually carrying. Heat exposes everything fast. What felt fine a month ago starts getting left at home. I saw a guy the other day open his bag, and it wasn't clean or organized. It looked like a pile of decisions that didn't stick. He ran through them quick. One was too bulky, one looked good but never got carried. Another one he tried to convince himself on didn't last. No deep explanations, just moving past them like he was done arguing with himself. Then he grabbed the Shield Plus. No energy shift, no sales pitch. Just, this is what I actually carry. That landed harder than everything else because it didn't sound like a recommendation. It sounded like where he ended up after wasting time. That's what June does. Summer forces the truth. Guns you like don't always survive daily carry. The ones that do, they're usually not the exciting ones. The Shield Plus doesn't win arguments, doesn't stand out, and that's exactly why people keep skipping it. So they try to outsmart it, spend more, switch around, test different setups, and slowly circle back to the same place anyway. Only now, there's a cost sitting behind that decision. What he said after one mag, that's what stuck. Not before, not during, after. I handed him the Stoeger STR 9 Combat without saying anything. No setup, no pitch. Just told him to run a mag through it. He didn't care what it was, didn't ask, just took it and shot. Clean, controlled, nothing dramatic. Then he handed it back, paused, looked at it again like something didn't line up. What did you say this was again? That wasn't curiosity. That was something breaking. Because whatever he expected in his head didn't match what he just felt in his hands. And I've seen that exact moment before. It doesn't happen with average guns. It happens when something crosses out of its price lane and messes with what people think they're paying for. That's the part people miss right now. Late June is when that kind of shift spreads faster. Guys stop arguing specs and start noticing results. And once enough people hit that moment, it doesn't need hype. It moves on its own. It's not perfect, doesn't carry premium weight, doesn't impress at first glance. That's exactly why it catches people off guard. You know, you ignore it, you keep paying more, thinking you're getting more. And there's also where these AOS shows up and ruins that logic. And once that clicks, you don't go back to looking at price the same way. This wasn't about the best pistol. It was about catching it before the window shifts. I stopped treating this like a list and started treating it like a window, because by July, yeah, these guns are still around, but not like this. Not at the same price, not in the same configurations, not sitting there waiting on you. And it's never the gun that disappears. It's the version you actually wanted. That's the part people don't think about until it's gone. So what are you sitting on right now? And has it already moved where you live? Because waiting feels smart, right up until you're picking leftovers. Some people already moved on these. Others still think they've got time. I'm Steve, and this thing's already shifting. You're just deciding when you notice it.